I've got to say, I'm kind of addicted to Ulanzi's F38 platform. Right now, I'm in my anything to be more productive phase, which is actually ironic because I've been procrastinating making this video for probably, I don't know, I'd say 3 weeks now. Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. Anyways, Ulanzi is a pretty big name in the camera accessory world. I'm talking lights, tripods, backpacks, they make just about everything. But the big one for me has actually been their Falcam F38 quick release series, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. There are a ton of quick release systems on the market. For example, there's PGY Tech, there's Peak Design, there's Manfrotto, there's even some Amazon generic Arca Swiss hybrids, and a lot of these systems claim to be universal, but when it comes to actual real world compatibility, that's where they start to fall apart and show their true colors. What drew me to the F38 platform though was just how flexible and expandable it is, because especially with a version 2 lineup like this one, it's starting to feel like a truly fleshed out system. Now, personally speaking, I've got F38 top plates on both my A6700 that I'm actually using to film this video, as well as my new ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, while quick release systems aren't exactly a necessity, it sure makes moving my camera around so much easier. And as I've mentioned in the past, for my day job, I help run a podcast where I actually bring my A6700 here as one of our A-cams. And to make this easier on me, I've simply installed these F38 plates everywhere. So I have these at work. That way I'm not fixing my camera to various different tripod mounts everywhere I go. And honestly, it's so much easier. Now, for that same job, I also travel a good bit, so trying to move my camera to more creative shots or even simple top-down shots like you've seen on this channel, this is just simplified by the fact that now all I have to do is literally take my base, take my camera, and simply slide it in, and I'm good to go, at least for the most part. So anyways, here's how this whole ecosystem breaks down, plus a little bit of backstory. Visum, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is actually the parent company behind both Falcam and Ulanzi. Think of them more as like sister brands under the same roof, cranking out various camera accessories with slightly different use cases and vibes. Falcam is kind of the premium arm, and they've been around for a little bit longer, and they're responsible for the F22, 38, and 50 quick release systems, as well as other big camera accessories like cages, and the brand's more high-end stuff like their travel tripods like the Tree Root. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Ulanzi markets a bunch of gear directly under that name and has a bit more of a budget-friendly lineup for quick releases called UKA. If it feels like there's a little bit of overlap between Falcam and Ulanzi and UKA, that's because there is. Falcam handles the higher end stuff, and UKA is more affordable and stripped back, and it's kind of aimed at creators who are all about versatility without breaking the bank and spending maybe hundreds. The bottom line though, is if you're building a system around the F38 platform, you've got a ton of various options because for the most part, they actually play really well together. Just not all the time, and we'll actually get to that in a little bit in this video. Now, to give you an idea, the F38 version 2 base plate and top plate combo like this one will specifically run you just shy of $40, and that's actually what I use on most of my setups, whereas the newer UKA equivalent is actually just $24. Now, it's not all seamless because the F38 top plates work fine on the UKA bases, but the UKA top plates don't actually seem to fit on the F38 version 2 bases that I use. So it's not completely backwards compatible, but if you're cool with using UKA bases and F38 top plates, then you'd be set. And while you can find the F38 parts sold separately, nearly all of this UKA stuff is sold in some form of a combo, meaning now I have about 5 or 6 different top plates just sitting around my office, and I actually don't know what to do with these because they don't want to fit. Now, speaking of F38 bases, honestly, they're super solid. In the center, you have a standard 3/8" mounting thread, but they also include a adapter insert that reduces this down to a 1/4" thread. So you can mount this to pretty much anything that you can think of, whether that be tripods, arms, cages, you name it. But if one mount isn't enough, there's also 4 extra 1/4" threads around the base, letting you really lock it down. Like if you wanted to bolt it to a cheese plate, or if you wanted to prevent it from twisting one of those magic arms, provided that it has the locating pins, you can now do so. Both the F38 and UKA bases use a similar side lock button system, which is actually pretty wise because when you insert either top plate into the respective mount, you'll hear the first lock. Then if you want full peace of mind, especially for vertical setups, you just simply slide that button backwards into lockout mode. Now the release can't be pressed at all until you slide it back in order to unlock it. Now both plates, whether they are UKA or F38, also use a standard 1/4-20 screw with a rubber anti-slip pad and a nylon washer to prevent them from backing out over time, which is super common in these mounts. Now let's talk about the various accessories, since I do seem to have a few. But one accessory I've been trying to find new love for is actually Ulanzi's TT38, the one-click tabletop tripod. While this isn't a bad product, I've mentioned it a few times in past videos, and honestly, I've just had mixed feelings, but I really want to give it another shot this year, and maybe, just maybe, I'll finally find a better use for it. Thankfully, being a UKA-based product, it does seem to pair really well with the F38 system, so either quick release will work just fine. Both the F38 and UKA platforms also offer a backpack strap mount similar to PGY-Tech's Beetle Clip, which in hindsight, I feel like I should have bought, but instead I went actually with Falcam's F38 lanyard clip, which I've been using this a lot now, given how often I travel with a backpack. It's become a little bit cumbersome. The lanyard itself is great on its own, especially for travel photography or videography, but when used with a backpack that has to be frequently removed, it's just one additional hassle that I didn't necessarily think out. So it's not actually a fault of the lanyard itself, but poor planning on my end. Surprisingly, this is actually my second favorite item from the entire F38 lineup, because this lanyard mount, even though I'm using it wrong, works really well. It's also worth mentioning that this is one of the few version 2 accessories that not only fits with the F38 bases, but it also fits with the UKA top plates, and it also works with Peak Design's top plates, something that I don't think they considered, or maybe they did and I just didn't read the listing. UKA also makes their own lanyard version, which I haven't tried yet, so maybe I'll need to pick one of those up in the future, but maybe that's for another video. What do you guys think? Ulanzi and UKA each recently dropped a new amazing version of their respective backpack clips, and from what I've seen, the F38 version 2 seems to be a major upgrade over the original F38 clip. It didn't seem flawed, but the original also just didn't appear very strong, especially based on other reviewers' impressions. I guess it's time to order 3 or 4 or maybe 5 different clips and lanyards, maybe, so that I can try them all, and maybe I'll even pick up the Beetle clip so that I can do a fair comparison. Would that make for an interesting video? Also, real quick, if anyone at Ulanzi or Falcam is watching this video for any reason, I would love to see one of those new F38 integrated cages for the ZVE10, because doesn't seem to exist yet. So final thoughts, the F38 system isn't flawless by any means. And the UKA stuff isn't much better, because I found sometimes the F38 plates don't seem to fit as snug, and honestly, there's a little bit of play. So it's one of those things where it's not that I'm shaking my stuff aggressively, but when I want to risk all my stuff, I don't know. Still, the value, the ecosystem, the compatibility, it all makes a lot of sense, especially for solo creators and hybrid shooters like myself. Oh, and they're still releasing new products, because for instance, UKA just dropped this really cool base for my RS4 gimbal, and then a couple weeks ago, Falcam just dropped a completely new replacement piece for the RS4 Mini, so clearly they are still working on this stuff. If you made it this far and you're already using a quick release system, drop a comment and let me know what you're rocking. And if you have questions about the F38 platform, UKA series, or anything else that I mentioned, let's talk about it below. I have dropped an affiliate link in the description for all of these products, so if you do want to support the channel, that is a really easy way to do so without costing you any additional money, so I really appreciate that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think of this, and also, what do you guys think of the new studio? I know it's a little different from what we've been doing, but if you do enjoy it, drop a comment. I'd love to hear back from you. I'm still working on a few things if you can't tell, but I think we're getting to a really solid place. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.